So a radical change is what the paper describes it. It looks at first glance to me as a radical change. Whether it will be effective or not, I do not know, which is why I'm very glad I've got Adrian Bethune here, founder of Teach Happy. He teaches happiness and well-being to primary school children and teachers. Morning to you, Adrian.
Morning, Matthew. Good to be here.
I suppose at the heart of this is the argument or belief that schools are somehow turning children's mental health against them by not challenging ideas that are coming from social media, that, you know, if you're having a down day, you're suffering some kind of depression.
Yeah, I think we have kind of normalized using clinical language of mental illness, so anxiety, depression, OCD, these kind of things, and we're using it in everyday language to describe normal life's ups and downs. And I think that is, or it can be problematic because it reduces the power of that language for people that are genuinely struggling. They might have seen a doctor, a GP, a psychotherapist, someone that has clinically diagnosed them with an issue that is impairing the quality of their life. And also it increases the power of just normal everyday feelings, those ups and downs. So when you're feeling anxious about an exam that's coming up, that's a normal feeling. And typically what will happen is if you focus, you study, you get good support from your teachers, your friends, your family, etc., you do your exam, those feelings typically dissipate after that challenge has been met. Clinical anxiety is when your anxious feelings are intense, they affect, kind of everyday experiences, moment-to-moment life. You might not be able to sleep properly at night, all of those kind of things, and it's over a long period of time. This is not the same thing as just feeling anxious about a challenge.
Adrian, you've said more in that last sentence that I can relate to. My diagnosis of PTSD 7 years ago, it's been an absolute nightmare. And one of the things I've complained about is, despite the fact there are ongoing loud conversations about mental health that have been going on for at least the last 5 years or so, nothing in those conversations I could relate to as I was getting ill. And actually, in fact, it was a poster in a union building, and it said mood swings, anger, depression, insomnia, and I think there were 5 or 6. And I was in a cabin, I looked at it and thought, blimey, I've got the lot. I should see a doctor. And I felt, I have felt that there's been an imbalance, that we have been, just as you said, sort of over-dramatising down days and perhaps not being clear enough about severe mental illness. So if we take the Telegraph report at face value, what you're seeing there, presumably you're seeing the same as me, this is generally a good news story?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it does need to be said. My take on this is, I think there's a problem even with talking about like mental health, because when you talk about mental health, the connotations typically are you're not talking about health, you're talking about mental illness. Yes. And I think, my approach in the primary school I teach in, I lecture at Oxford Brookes University trainee teachers. I'm on the board of an organisation, a movement called Well Schools, which is powered by the Youth Sport Trust. And our approach is to put health and wellbeing at the centre of culture of a school, of the curriculum. And what we're talking about here is teaching children and teachers healthy habits of body and mind, how to take good care of your mind, how to take good care of your body, so that every day you are doing things that make you well or contribute to your wellness. Like I did a quick search about I won't name the organisation, education organisation that supports teachers, and it's got resources for supporting pupil mental health. And then you go and look at the list, and it's anxiety, loneliness, trauma, eating disorders, self-harm, addiction. That's mental illness. Yeah. That is not promoting health. And I think where I support what Bridget Philipson is saying is we need to normalise normal everyday ups and downs. We need to also promote health. But also my other point, which I hope Bridget Philipson listens to, is we need to make the culture in schools one that is conducive to health. So one of the things we know that's been happening, particularly in secondary schools, but also in primary, there's been a dramatic drop in the number of PE hours taught over the last decade, 11% decrease in the number of PE hours. So children are being less physically active. We also know that playtime minutes have dropped substantially as well. So children are being less physically active, one of the key things of them remaining emotionally and mentally healthy.
Adrian Bethune, I've got to leave it there, but it's nice to have a positive angle on a story for a change within the context of this hour discussion.